Elizabeth Jane Cochran was born on the 5th of May, 1864. Her story really kicks off in 1885 when her local newspaper pissed her off. 1885, the Pittsburgh Dispatch published a column with the title, "What Girls Are Good For." 1885, what things do you think?
Obviously having sons.
Yes.
Cooking.
That would be part of it. Not business, though.
Well, obviously.
The column was pretty pissed at women in the workforce. No. Women, girls are good for birthing children and keeping a house. A woman who worked outside the home was a monstrosity. There is no greater abnormality than a woman in breeches, unless it is a man in petticoats. Young Elizabeth Cochran is like, oh, fuck that. Or in polite words of 1885.
Fornicate you, sir.
Indeed.
Yes.
I believe she said in her head, fornicate you. She talked her way into the offices of Joseph Pulitzer's newspaper, the New York World.
Pulitzer, that name rings a bell.
I don't know if Nellie came up with the idea or the editor came up with the idea, but they said,
how about a loony bin?
how about you go undercover in a loony bin? So that's what Nellie did. 10 Days in a Madhouse, or Nellie Bly's experience on Blackwell Island. Feigning insanity in order to reveal asylum horrors. The trying ordeal of the New York World girls correspondent. The first thing that Nellie does is practice being insane. Nellie practices insanity at home.
She's grabbing her fringe. Look, I'm crazy.
How do I convince them that I am crazy? So she looked herself in the mirror, tried to look crazy, and read some ghost stories. So that's what she did. She was like, imagine some ghost stories and shit. And you look wild-eyed.
Horrifying, yeah.
And she stayed up late, and so she looked a bit drawn. And then she said goodbye to
the normal world.
The normal world.
Oh, fuck.
Tenderly, I put my toothbrush aside, and when taking a final rub of the soap, I murmured, it may be for days, it may be for longer. 2 ways to get into the insane ward. One, I could feign insanity at the house of my friends and get myself committed on the decision of 2 competent physicians. Or I could go to my own goal by way of the police.
She went with B, didn't she?
She went with B.
Because you would.
She went with B.
Because it's guaranteed to be horrifying. There's more to write about.
You know it. And well, she said straight away, I didn't want to inflict this on my friends. You could imagine your friends would say, no, Nellie.
No, I don't want my friends to feel uncomfortable. I'm going to get the police to brutalise me into a loony bin.
They dragged her down to the Essex Market Police Court. This was where Judge Duffy, he's the judge of the court, is like, what are we going to do with this woman? And he was apparently really super kind. Super kind, also a little bit, I don't know if it's creepy or not, but he's like, surely this young woman who she must have a darling out there. She's
hot.
She is comely.
Look how hot she is. She can't be a problem.
Literally. And at this point, this is where the smiling nearly got Nellie. She was like, I nearly burst out laughing. And I can imagine the stress of you're pretending to be insane in front of a boarding house, to in front of cops, to in front of a judge.
To a judge is going, I'd have that.
Okay, well, that didn't help. But anyway.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah. And she's gone, whoo.
Yeah, okay. She's in a problematic and complex social situation.
No, that's it. She's positively demented.
Fucking nutcase. She might be a danger to this whole continent.
I consider it to be a hopeless case. She needs to be put to where someone will take care of her.
Oh, my God. I looked at her eyes. She didn't blink. Chick's crazy, going to kill people.
Part of the medical justice system is based on people not trying to trick them.
Nonetheless. This is not a big effort.
No, she's half wistful.
I'm a bit confused. And I don't blink enough.
Don't blink enough. And they've gone, well, we better condemn
Lock her
her
up for life. Fuck, man.
The Women's Lunatic Asylum.
It was a nice place.
It's a fucking ghost hospital.
It had a pool.
So another doctor comes and examines, asked if she had any home or friends or lovers that might take care of me. He made me stretch out my arms and move my fingers.
Oh, proof positive.
And then said, she's hopeless.
Fuck. Sorry, sweetheart. Irretrievably insane.
There are a bunch of times where she knew that the women that are alongside her on the boat or the carriage or walking through into the asylum, it was a life sentence.
You ain't leaving, yeah.
Like, you are not leaving. And just the callousness of the doctors around who are like, no, you're insane, you're insane, you're insane, you're insane. Oh, you're all right. You're insane, you're insane, you're insane. And bye-bye forever. Bath time.
Oh, goody. I'm thinking it's communal. I'm guessing also Vigorous assistants? Okay.
But what you aren't guessing is who the vigorous assistant is. They got some of the other inmates to do the washing, and she takes her clothes off down to her underpants, or I don't
whatever they are.
whatever 1885.
The Unterblumen.
Underlunen, and they say no, you got to take it all off, and she's like, so she takes it all off and gets into this bath, and then she is described being scrubbed by the crazy woman.
Scrubbed is not a good word. Because that involves abrasion.
I can find no other word that will express it but scrubbing all over me, even all over my face and my pretty hair. The old woman chattering to herself.
Oh, she's old and crazy. Okay, good to know.
My limbs were goose-fleshed and blue with cold. Suddenly, 3 buckets of water over my head, ice-cold water too. I think I experienced some of the sensations of a drowning person as they dragged me, gasping and shivering and quaking from the tub. For once, I did look insane. From the moment I entered the insane ward on the island, I made no attempt to keep up the assumed role of being insane.
Yeah, that's
just the way
interesting.
But all the way through, they're just like, no, you're
nuts.
You're here.
You're here. You must be nuts.
And the more sanely I talked and acted, the crazier I was thought to be by all except one physician. So she's going, no, I'm sane here.
Hey, champ, fine.
And they're like, nah.
That's just proof.
Nah, we got you. It was a sensation throughout New York, but throughout America and had ripples around the world. Straight away, people are like, whoa, this is undercover reporting of practices within insane asylums. And look, it didn't change them. Like that for a long time, they were still terrible. Nellie Bly got the governors in New York to invest, I think, something like $1 million in improving conditions there.
Yeah.
But it opened up the idea that, hang on, we've got to do things
maybe this
better.
isn't perfect.
But the other thing that Nellie Bly did is, in some ways, invent the idea of undercover journalism. And at its time, it was called the stunt girl journalism.
Well, at least it's diminishing.
Yeah, it was. It was.
What happens when a guy does it?
Well, Nellie, after she came out, when a guy does it, it's more serious.
I bet it ain't stunt boy.
But she went and did an investigation of how it feels to be a white slave. So that So that was in a box making factory or something like that. Another book, Visiting the Dispensaries. Nellie Bly narrowly escapes having her tonsils amputated.
That's funny language.
I know. And then, of course, as I've said previously, she pitched to her editor, I can beat the around the world in 80 days thing, and traveled around the world. A bunch of other women at the time followed in her footsteps, and they were, pejoratively called the stunt girl journalists, but they did really important and interesting things. I just got to say though, like as a 21-year-old, to go out and go, no, I'm going to go all in. Whoa, that's wild.
Nellie, you rock star.